Hi guys, welcome to my podcast, Chiquis and Chill. I hope that you're having a beautiful day and that you have a wonderful week or weekend. I am going to take a deep breath because today I'm going to talk about something that I mentioned earlier on in the season. It's a personal one. This is what I love about my podcast. You guys give me the opportunity to speak to you and share my deepest thoughts and feelings, and that's what I'm going to do today. So again, earlier this season, I mentioned that I was going to file paperwork to go see my dad, and it was accepted, and I did go see him. So I'm going to tell you all about that. So take a deep breath with me. Okay. I don't know if you guys have watched Chiquis sin Filtro. It is my docu-follow, and they did follow me to go see my dad. Didn't talk much about the details there, just that I went to go see him. They weren't able to go in with me, the cameras. So this is my space and my time and my opportunity to explain to you exactly what happened and what we talked about and how it went. First of all, I decided to go see him because it's something that had been in my heart for a while. For a long time, I didn't want to. And in all fairness and honesty, he didn't want to see me either. So then time passed by, time went by, and my sister Jackie has been the one that has gone to go see him. And you know what? She's gotten a lot of heat for it. And I don't necessarily agree with it. Because people say that, okay, how can you do that to your sister, Jackie? Like, she went through this, she went through that. Like, I feel like, first of all, she asked me, and I said, yes, sister, thank you for asking me. You don't have to, because that's still your dad. That's still a relationship that you had and things that you need to heal. But I do appreciate you asking me. So she did ask me. I gave her my blessing. I gave her the green light, and she started like a friendship with him. Anyways, so why I decided to go see him. Because I forgave my dad a long time ago. I forgave him. He never asked for forgiveness. That's something that I learned in church and through my mother, and I saw how she forgave, and that's who I am, at my core. And I forgave him because I didn't want to hold on to that and like carry that weight around with me for the rest of my life. I always tell you guys that forgiveness is not for the other person, but for yourself. So I kind of put that to the side for a long time, what happened with my dad, the sexual abuse. For those of you that may not know, I was sexually abused by my father when I was young, and he's now in jail, 35 years, no chance of parole, or 30 years. Anyways, the point is he's been in there for 17. So for a long time, I was kind of like, okay, I have no dad, it's just my mom, my siblings and I, and that's it. And then my mom passed away, and he felt really bad. So he tried to come around and talk to us, and I wasn't ready. I was like, why now? Why? Because my mom's not here. But in his defense, he was like, you know what? I felt bad. I wasn't a great dad. Your mom's gone. Like, if there's anything that I can do and show you guys I'm here, I'm going to do that. Took me a while to accept it. And then I went through my first divorce. And after that, I realized that I had daddy issues, that I had things that I needed to work through. And I thought, okay, I'm older. I went to therapy, like I'm fine. But after that divorce, things like resurfaced. And I was like, oh my gosh, like as I was getting older, I noticed that things that I hadn't healed were affecting my relationships, the way that I was in my relationships. And I was like, I need to stop this. Like, I don't want to continue attracting this type of treatment, not loving myself enough, and just so many things that I'm like, okay, it's stemming from the relationship I had to heal with my mom and certain things that I needed to heal, but also with my dad. And so when Emilio asked me to marry him, that's when I was like, okay, I really need to face this. I really need to close this circle, to get this closure. And I asked Emilio if he'd be down to go with me, and he said, yeah. So to me, that was confirmation, because in my past relationships, they weren't down. They were like, no, absolutely not. But Emilio was very open, and he said, yes, babe, like, I think you should. I think you should go see him and hear what he has to say, especially if he's also ready. And that also gave me confirmation and made me feel peace. So anyways, we decided to go, and that's the reason why, because I felt like I needed to get closure with my mom, which is why I went to Monterrey to go see her, and to feel, and I got this closure that I needed and this peace in my heart. And then my dad. So before I got married, that was the whole thing. So anyways, I filed my paperwork. The first time I was denied. Then I let like a year pass by and I said, okay, I'm going to try it again. And I'm going to also file Emilio's. And we were both accepted. And it took some time to go out there. And so anyways, the day came, went to go see him, and I was trembling. I was so scared. I felt like a little girl. Like I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I'm grown. I go on stage. I do so many things. So much has happened. Like I almost didn't recognize myself, like with how nervous I was. And Emilio was like, I've never seen this. I was very vulnerable, and I felt very safe because I was with Jackie, my sister, and Emilio. But I was a different person. I didn't recognize myself. I was like, who is this person? Like I was just so nervous. And we get there and everything was kind of going wrong because the cameras were there. We didn't ask for permission. They can't be on site, and we didn't know that. So that was one thing. I was like, they're about to kick us out. I'm not going to be able to do this. But they recognized me and they were really nice and said, hey, just can't have this. There's so many restrictions, guys. You can't wear a wired bra. You can't wear any logos. You can't show any cleavage. You can't wear anything tight. You can't have it like you have to take coins to like for the vending machine. Like there's a lot of rules. So it's my first time, and my sister, I think, forgot. So anyway, she had to go get a sweater. It was just this whole thing. So mind you, I'm thinking I'm going to go straight in there, but no. So here I am, which was kind of cool because it took us at least 45 minutes to get accepted, to get in there, to show everything. Like we couldn't take our phone, just everything. So it gave me a little bit of time to just realize where I was and what I was doing. So I was sitting there waiting and my legs were like literally trembling. And finally they let us through. I'm walking to where he is, to like the meeting site. And I almost turned back. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to go home. I was like, let's go. And they're like, no, it's okay. Like, thank goodness. Like Emilio was with me. He's like, it's okay, babe. Like, it's fine. We're here. Let's do it. I'm like, okay. Took a deep breaths. It was very, very like, mind you, it's weird because the energy at any like prison is very different. I'm not necessarily saying like negative, but just cold. There was no one, everyone was, I guess, in their cells. Like there wasn't anyone in sight. And it was just this weird feeling, not scared, but I was just, I don't know, it was weird. I don't even know how to explain it. So anyways, we get there first. I thought he was already going to be sitting there so I could see him from the outside because there was windows. And again, you have to go like through another process before going into like this open space where there's vending machines and tables and, and there's security in there, like, the officers or whatnot. But he wasn't there. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay. So then we had to sit down. And I was like, okay. So we sat down and I was still like, where do I sit? Like, do I want to sit next to him? I'm like, okay, I want to sit in front of him. I want to see him. So I sat in front and then it was Emilio and Jackie. I was like, okay, cool. I feel protected. I felt like in a weird way, I need to feel protected. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, he comes out and I stood up and it was like I could see him from when he came out of the door and like walking towards it. And I was like, I was like, as soon as I walked into that place, I was just like crying. I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, they're like, you have to, you're fine. Dude, I was a freaking baby. It was the weirdest thing. Anyways, he comes out and I was like, okay, should I hug him? Should I not hug him? And my heart felt like, yes, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, dad, I didn't even know if I was going to call him dad. I didn't plan anything. So he said hi to Jackie, hugged her, said hi to Emilio, and then he saw me, and then he gave me his hand. I guess he also felt like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to hug me. But I pulled him in and I gave him a hug. I said, "Hi, Dad." It just happened naturally. And he said, "Hi." And he only speaks Spanish. He understands English, but we were speaking in Spanish. And then he asked me, he's like, "Can I sit where you're sitting? Because I need to see the officer." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "We're always supposed to." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we turned around. I was still in the middle because I was like, I want to feel protected, And it was very awkward. Awkward at first. Like we couldn't look in each other's eyes. Like I was nervous. He was nervous. Thank goodness for my sister that she had been there with him. And I think everything happens the way it should be, the way it's supposed to happen. I mean, because my sister already had some type of like relationship with him. So they were like joking around. And I think that helped him calm down and it helped me calm down. And anyways, it took us a while to get to like the nitty gritty because I was there to handle business. I was like, I need to know if he's going to accept things because the only way we can move forward is if he accepts. For me, that was important. If you accept and you apologize to me. If not, then I have no interest in even entertaining some type of relationship. So I was kind of like, okay, what are we going to talk about? I was like, are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Like, because, we get buy stuff from the vending machine and I like to eat, as you guys know. So that helps me with my nerves. So I was like, I need to get something, like some chips or something. He didn't want anything. Jackie's like, he never eats. He never accepts anything. He doesn't So anyways, we just talked about his family. We talked about how he was doing. And then finally he's like, "Do you have any questions?" And I was like, "No, I don't have any questions." I didn't want to ask anything to kind of like, I didn't want to be the one to like prompt him. I was like, "No, I don't have any questions. You have anything you have to tell me?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yes, I've seen you on TV. I've heard your podcast." He listens to my podcast. And he said, "I know that there are words that you want to hear and I'm more ready than ever." So then I said, okay. I said, "Wait, actually, I do have a question." He said, "Okay." I said, were you mad at me?" And he said, "For a long time, I was very mad at you." He said, "For a long time, I was." And I said, "Okay." He said, "I didn't understand. I hadn't accepted a lot of things and I wanted to blame other people and not realize what I had done." So he said, yes, that he was upset. I was like, "I felt it." He's like, "Were you mad at me?" I said, "No, just until my mom died." I was like, "That's when I got mad at you because you were trying to come around. I didn't understand." I was like, "Why now? Like, why not when my mom was alive?" And I was like, then I kind of got angry, but I was very angry during that time. 2013, 2014 were not good years for me. I was like, I was pissed at the world. So yes, I was mad at you just then. And then before that, no. And I told her, I said, "I've always said it. You were a good dad, and you did things that I can't excuse, but I can't say you were a horrible father, as weird as that sounds." And he said, "No, I was not a good dad. I was not a good dad to you guys. And I could have been better and I could have been more present. And I'm sorry for that." And then he said, "I also heard in one of your interviews that, I think it's kind of funny, that like, it's like, how weird is it for him to like, oh, that's my daughter." You know what I mean? Like I put myself in his shoes. Cause he's also said before, he's like, "It's weird because people here will call me suegro," which means father-in-law, because they think you're cute and it just bothers me. And it's like the weirdest thing or whatever. So anyways, so he told me, "I saw an interview and where you said that people have called you a liar since you were little." I said, "Yeah." I said, "It started because of this situation." I said, and that's one thing that I've struggled with because I was like always called a liar, like, "Oh, she's lying about this. If it wasn't from you, it's from your family." And it really bothered me and it really affected me. And he said, "Well, I want you to know that you're not a liar." And I was like, oh my God. I was like, "Thank you." He's like, "You're not a liar. And you only know what happened to you. And don't let anyone make you feel like you are wrong for feeling the way that you feel and for speaking your truth." He's like, "Does it make me feel uncomfortable that you speak about it so often?" Yes, it does. But that's your truth and you have all the right to share it. It's like, I don't understand it completely because obviously I'm on the other end, but that's your truth. I said, "Thank you." And then he looked in my eyes and said, "Perdóname." He said, "Forgive me." Oh my God, I lost it. I was like, oh my God, I have been dying to hear those words. forever. I was like, oh my God. We didn't talk about details, but he did look in my eyes and his eyes were watery, and he said to forgive him. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't understand for a long time. I was upset at the world, at God. He was young when he was in there, when they incarcerated him. So, and then I told him, I was like, I don't agree with the amount of time they gave you. I just feel because it was such a public court case that they gave you a lot of time. I was like, I don't agree with that. And I mean, I'm like, okay, that's a justice system, but I don't agree with it. And then he said that, he's like, no, he's like, I understand. I've heard and I've read a lot of books and I've done a lot of research, and I do feel that I got a lot of time. He's like, but God knew why I needed to be here and the amount of time, because barely a few years ago, I started realizing and reading on a lot of things and what I did and understanding. And I didn't understand what I had done wrong until I started realizing. He's like, so the time that I've been here, he's been there 17 years. He's like, it's been 7 years that I was like, I realized what I had done. And I don't want to put his business out there because it's, you know what I mean? But he's accepted a lot of things. And he also realized that things happen in his life, and it was one of my worries or my concerns or my doubts, my questions. And he answered my questions, but he didn't understand that certain things were wrong, that a lot of things were wrong, and now he does. And I think that shows a lot of growth, and that's what I wanted to feel. I wanted to go in there and hear those words and really feel if they were sincere. And I definitely felt that they were sincere, and his change is sincere. It's weird because since that day, he's called me a few times. We've spent time on the phone, like 45 minutes. And he called me on my birthday and he gives me advice on my relationship. He loved Emilio, you guys. Like, he was like, it was the weirdest thing, because not that I needed him to accept him, because this was before we got married, but like, they looked into each other's eyes. And Emilio, I think that's so awesome of him as a man. Like, knowing what happened, I've never really told him details at all. I really haven't spoken about the details to anyone, but he knows what happened. Like, doesn't hold any anger or anything towards him. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think he felt that from Emilio. So he felt like, I really like this guy. He even told me later on when we spoke, he's like, I really like him. He looks like he has a very nice heart. I could see through his eyes that he has a good soul. Tiene buena alma. And I was like, he does. So it's almost like he gave me like his blessing, but I wasn't really looking for that, but it felt good to get it from at least one of my parents, And I know a lot of people are not going to understand and think that it's weird that I went to see him. And people always wonder, well, now that, they saw it on the docufollow, they've commented like, your mom would be so mad. Like, I can't believe you did that. That's betraying her. I'm like, dude, you guys don't know my mom's heart. I guarantee you that my mother would have taken us to see him. I know my mom's heart. My mom was an impulsive woman and sometimes would get upset about things and like, not talk to you, how she didn't talk to me for two months, but she would always come around and she would always apologize. It was a little hard for her to apologize, but she would, like with something like that, or she was a very forgiving, and I'm like, she would have gone, she would have taken us. She actually said a few times that she's like, one day I'm going to take you guys to see your dad, because Jackie was the one that would cry for him more and didn't really understand. And she said, I'm going to take you one day. I'll take you. My mom's in heaven, but I do feel like when I went to the mountain to see my mom, I felt like, in a way, because I had so many questions within myself, that they were answered on that day. Like, let go. It's okay. Like, I feel like she was even with me on that day to go see my dad. So I know people will be confused and not understand, but you guys, I have a whole book on it, forgiveness, perdón in Spanish, talking about forgiveness and the importance of it and how it liberates you to become your best self, to accomplish things. And I feel like it's helped me a lot. And even with this, it just made me feel more sure about getting married. And I'm proud of myself. It's not easy. It was not easy. And I faced this, and I encourage you guys, because I know this happens a lot. Sexual abuse is a real thing, you guys. And if it wasn't for my faith and for my therapy, I don't know where I would be, especially like with my mom, like never questioning me, and all of that has helped. And also forgiving. And some of us may not have the opportunity or the chance or the desire to face our abuser, but in this case, it's different because it's my dad. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm proud of myself. I really, really am. And I feel better ever since I did that. I feel like I healed my inner child, because I felt like a little girl. And it just, I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen from here. I don't know if we're going to have a relationship, if, you know, he has a lot more years in there. And I feel bad. I'm not going to lie, because I'm like, damn, that's a long time, you know, but I'm leaving it in God's hands. And, you know, I worry for, you know, I asked about his daughter as well. And I know she's still like upset with me, and I don't blame her. Maybe some of his family members as well, they don't understand, but I think that he's accepted what happened, and I think that can change a lot of things, hopefully for the positive. And they don't see him in a negative way, because I do worry, guys, because I definitely didn't want to show the prison that he was in, because I don't want to cause him issues. You know what I mean? Like I ask everyone to please, if you love me, if you care about me, not to make his life harder in there, because I talk about this because it's part of my testimony. It's part of what I've gone through and what has made me the woman that I am today, but not to make him look bad, and not to like keep picking at that wound for him. And that's one thing I've been meaning to tell him, because now he knows, you know, that it's on the docu-follow and stuff. And I'm not trying to disturb their life or make it any harder at all. It's just also, this is my story, and this happened to me, and I'm meant to heal other people. And I do feel bad, and I worry for his safety, and I just want to make sure he's okay, because I do feel that he has changed. And I do feel that people can change. You have to want to change. And I feel it. And no one can say and tell me any different. Like, I was there, I saw him, I have good discernment. And that's what I prayed for. I'm like, God, I want to feel if this change is real. And I do. Because he even told me, he's like, I don't understand completely why you talk about it so much, or why you talked about it, but like, I respect it, and I understand that's your truth, because it does cause him more issues, even with his family. And that's not what I'm trying to do, guys, like at all. But I'm mentioning it here on the podcast because we've talked about it so much. And I did tell you guys that I had filed the paperwork, and now I'm ready to talk about it a little bit more in detail. And there's things that, it was like a 5-hour visit. So a lot of things, we talked about a lot of different things, but I don't feel necessarily comfortable talking about all of it, because it's his personal story as well, and personal things that we talked about. But I am glad that I did it. And I'm glad that Emilio was there for me and my sister, and that everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. And I feel like I got closure. Exactly what I needed to do. Imagine so many years, you guys, so many years waiting for those words, forgive me. I felt so validated. Like, I felt like, whoa, oh my gosh. Like, I was like, I wish my mom was here to see it, but I know she was with me. But I'm like, oh, I felt validated. It put a smile on my face. Of course, I cried, and I cried after I left. I felt so weird. But like, as the days went by, I just felt like fresh. I felt brand new. It felt good to finally feel validated and seen, because I felt like some people thought that I was lying, or my mom put this in my head, and that's not the truth. So yeah, guys, I mean, I hope that you guys learn something and feel empowered by this episode. And now that I'm here, and My dad told me that he listens and watches the podcast. I do want to say something to him. I'm saying in Spanish, guys, because, that's how, we speak and communicate in Spanish. So, oh my God, this is crazy. Okay. Dad, solamente le quiero dar las gracias y a través de este podcast, de este episodio, darle las gracias por aceptar verme, por pedirme perdón, por darme de su tiempo, por darme también la bendición y darme confirmación de Emilio. Se lo agradezco mucho. Yo sé que son muchos años que perdimos, pero creo que con tiempo y poco a poco vamos a poder reforzar nuestra relación y ver qué pasa. Pero se lo agradezco mucho y estoy pidiendo mucho por usted, pido mucho por usted y pues nada, gracias. So that was for my dad. So thank you guys. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, for watching. I appreciate you. And, I love you. And anything I talk about on this podcast is to help you in any way. Hopefully it's not triggering for anyone. And hopefully the people that don't understand will eventually understand. Thank you so much. I love you guys. And I'll catch you on the next episode of your favorite podcast, Chiquis and Chill. This is a production of iHeartRadio and My Cultura Podcast Network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcasts and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.